to today's session, Office 365 Labs Exchange Online. As my colleague has informed you, we are going to record the session so that you can also see it later and that we can share it with the partners who couldn't be here today. Should you have any questions during the session, please don't hesitate to contact us. You can easily write in the conversation and we will answer as soon as possible. My name is Diana Anghel, and I'm a partner technical consultant. I've been with Microsoft for more than 5 years now, and my focus has been Exchange, Skype for Business, and Office 365. But today I'm not alone. I also have reinforcements, my colleague Marius.
Yes, hello Diana. Hello dear partners, and thanks for joining our today's session. A few words about myself. My name is Marius Radulescu. I'm also a partner technical consultant with the same team as Diana, the PTC team, since 2012. And we're covering pre-sales and advisory services for unified communications. This includes like Office 365 technologies, Exchange Online, SharePoint, and Link. To go through our today's agenda, we've prepared a few topics. These topics will show you few mail flow scenarios, the most common of them, and you will see also what's behind the grinding cog gears. You will see what's behind the scenes, also client access scenarios, which is mostly important for the perfect configuration of your mail flow, and Exchange Online features, which will allow you to steer this kind of mail flow and communications. If you stay with us until the very end, we will lead a Q&A session, and we'll be glad to pick up questions from the queue. And also, you can address freely during this session, you can address us any question. To see what's behind these mail flow scenarios, we've prepared a few slides which will go through this type of processes, which will show you, which will give you a great input. But what means for me to start with a mail flow review? It can become a pretty complex process, and it involves many technologies and many settings. This will start with the type of mailbox which user addresses. It's also the protocol behind this mailbox. It can be a POP3 mail delivery system, IMAP, or the native MAPI Microsoft technology. This will start at the basic client configuration, where I will introduce the email settings. And afterwards, it depends on the SMTP servers, how the SMTP session is established, if it goes through multiple hops, if it drives through smart hosts. Does it lead through a TLS connection? Is a SSL certificate involved? Many details which will be relevant for your daily configuration. Also, DNS settings are very dependent for mail servers. Please think hereby at the MX record, which addresses the mail domain for your recipients. When we mention spam filters, these ones can be very tricky because they look into the emails, they look into the content, and they can prevent a native mail delivery. We will look at the EOP settings into Exchange Online, which will provide you the settings to route mails through your EOP Office 365 organization. And also, we will look into particular objects like emails, email headers, and recipient domains. So to go through the next topic, we have set up here a routing sample where email is routed from the internet and it goes through your Exchange organization. If you look at the top left, you will see an email header which addresses two email addresses. One is Chris. Chris' mailbox is hosted on the on-premise server, and the other one is David. David's mailbox is hosted on Exchange Online. So after this mail is delivered, it will reach, in this case, your MX DNS record is pointing to the on-premise server. This server will pick up the email, and here it will perform an AD lookup into the global catalog server, and it will search, okay, where is my recipient now? Is it hosted in my organization? Or it will see in the AD object, if it's populated with a target address, it will see if this mailbox is hosted on Exchange Online. And regarding these conditions, the mail transport server will continue here with 2 sessions to deliver this email. It will start 2 new SMTP sessions, and the first one will deliver the email to the local mailbox server where Chris's mailbox is hosted. This will be here step 4. And the other session will go through the internet. It will address again the DNS MX lookup. It will find the secondary address, which is contoso.mail or microsoft.com, resolving the Exchange Online protection, and the mail will be delivered to David's Exchange Online mailbox. So, Diana, could you tell us about the next sample?
Yes. So what happens when the incoming internet messages are routed through the Exchange Online organization? We basically have our same 2 users, Chris at contoso.com, who is hosted on premises, and David at contoso.com, who is hosted online. Someone from the internet sends an email message to these 2 users. The email message then arrives in Exchange Online protection. Here, it is verified that it doesn't have any, that it isn't a spam, that it doesn't have any viruses or malware. And then Exchange Online protection looks what the MX record points to. And it sees that the MX record points for contoso.com, which points to Exchange Online protection. At the same time, it sees that David at contoso.com is hosted in Exchange Online, so the email is sent further to David's mailbox. With the other copy that we have of the email, the one sent to Chris at contoso.com, Exchange Online protection will route the email will route the email through the internet using TLS, so it's a secure connection, to our Exchange on-premises servers. It will arrive in the Exchange Client Access Server, which will look up Chris at contoso.com. It will send it further to the Exchange Hub Transport Server, and then it arrives on our mailbox server, where Chris actually has access to the email. Moving on to our next scenario.
Yes, and here we can see another sample where internet emails is routed through the Exchange Online organization with a centralized transport enabled. What does it mean for me? If centralized mail transport is enabled, it will allow me to apply compliance policies for my company. These compliance policies will help me to preserve email under the conditions which are stated for this requirements, for this compliance requirements. So I will be able, after I enable this centralized transport, the mail flow will look as follows. The same email, which is addressed to Chris and David, will be routed firstly to Exchange Online protection. Here, after the transport session is established, it will recognize, okay, my centralized transport is enabled, which means I have to send a copy to my on-premise server. This on-premise server will keep one of the copies, and it will send another one back to the cloud with certain stamps which are applied by the on-premise transport server. And from here, the secondary copy is delivered to Chris, to the on-premise organization, and also to the Exchange Online organization, which, as you see, leads to multiple SMTP connections, and yeah, could take longer to deliver these emails. If I say longer, it doesn't mean that it will take minutes, it just can reach up to 10 seconds. But you have to consider if this centralized mail transport makes sense for your company, and only if it's a compliance requirement, then we recommend you to enable this feature. How about the next sample?
Yes, let's see what happens when we have messages sent from the on-premises senders to internet recipients. We have Chris, who has a mailbox on the on-premises Exchange server, and he wants to send an email to the internet. Let's say Erin at cpandle.com. We have the Exchange 2010 mailbox server, and this one sends the message to the Exchange Hub Transport server. The Hub Transport server, it looks up the MX record for the domain that we want to send to, cpandle.com, and it sends the message to cpandle.com mail servers, which are located on the internet.
Okay, how about the next sample where messages from Exchange Online centers are routed directly to the internet? You will question yourself why this scenario, when to apply this. Well, our customers tell me, I want to send a clean email out in the internet. I don't want my customers to bother if it might be affected with the malware or not. So I can decide to route all my outbound email through my Exchange Online protection spam filters, and from here it will reach the internet. To do this, I just have to go to my Office 365 administration console, and under Exchange Online I can create a connector, and this connector will route all outbound mail through Exchange Online protection. This will keep all my email clean, and again my customers will thank me for that and don't have to bother with additional settings.
Last but not least, we have the messages from Exchange Online centers that are routed through the on-premises organization, and centralized mail transport is enabled. Like Mario said, this is available when you have certain compliance issues and you need that all the emails are sent through the on-premises organization. What happens here? We have David, so he is in Exchange Online, and he sends an email to an external user, Erin at cpandle.com. The Exchange Online organization sends the email forward to Exchange Online Protection. This scans the emails, and it sees that it has to send the emails through the on-premises organization. So again, using TLS, so it's a secure connection, it sends the email through the internet to the Exchange servers. The Exchange Client Access Server receives the email. Again, it will perform the compliance, antivirus, and the other processes that were configured on the server, and then it will send the email further to the Exchange Hub Transport server. This will look up the MX record and will send the email further to the internet. Now that we have seen a little bit some of the scenarios that might occur when we have either a hybrid organization or an Exchange Online only organization, let's look a little bit into how the mail flow troubleshooting should be done. It's very important to scope the issue correctly. As you have seen, mail flow can be very complex, and sometimes it can be overwhelming. The best thing is to narrow down the issue, and for this we have come up with a few questions that should help you in your troubleshooting. It's very important to see, has mail flow ever worked? This is a very important question to ask, not only when troubleshooting mail flow, but when troubleshooting in general. Because if it's something that has worked, then we have to see what changes were made, and if not, we have to begin from scratch. The second point would be the NDRs, the non-delivery reports. We will talk a little bit later about these NDRs and why they are so important to us. Another question that is very, very important is to exactly see what part of our mail flow is not working. Is it only for our cloud users who cannot send to the on-premises users, for example? Is it someone from external who is not, who cannot send? Maybe it's only one user, and then it's not a mail flow issue on our servers. So we have to narrow it down as much as possible in order to go and troubleshoot exactly where we have to. It's very, very important. As I said, we have some very powerful resources, and one of these is the NDR, the non-delivery report. Why we like it? It's something that both users and administrators can use. This non-delivery report, as its name says, is the thing that you receive when you send an email and the email isn't received. So each user that will send an email to someone will receive an NDR if that email was not received by the recipient. These NDRs can be generated by several servers, and we will see what they actually look like. These are two NDRs. You can ask yourself why we have two NDRs. The one on the left-hand side is the one that's newer, and it will be implemented for all of the Exchange servers that we have. The one on the right-hand side is a little bit older, and we will see that the structure is a little bit different as well. Let's take a look at the one on the left-hand side. We can see that Office 365 is the one who helped us receive the NDR. This is why we have the logo. A little bit further down, we have information for the users. It's very straightforward. You can see who the sender was. It's you. And she sent the email to little DL through Office 365, and the sender not recognized message was received. This means that either the email address was not the correct one, or maybe our sender Sue is being blocked by the other organization. So in order to help us, we also have some solution steps that the end user can actually take in order to fix his problem. You can see here that it says to contact the recipient. These solution steps have been edited in order to be the solution steps that each problem requires. In the lower side, we have the information for email admins. So this is the information which the user uses actually when he sees that he cannot resolve this issue. It has many more details: when the mail was created, when it was sent, what the subject was, the recipient, and this is only a snippet of the image, but if we would scroll down, we would actually see the generating server and the message header. Very important information to help us in the troubleshooting. Let's check out a little bit the older one. As you can see, it wasn't that much structured. At the beginning, we also had the tips and the information for the users. It wasn't that user-friendly. But in the diagnostic information for administrators, the lower part, we also used to have the same information. The generating server, so who generated the NDR, what the error message that was returned was, and we then have the message header. What's very important, and we will also talk about message headers a little bit later on, it's that we always read the non-delivery report from the bottom up. Like I said, it's important to read them from the bottom up. The status codes that we have seen, these are very important, and we have also a list of the status codes. And you can also see the time that has elapsed from when the email was sent to when it arrived to its destination. So you can actually see how many hops it did have and how much time it took for that email to arrive from one point to the other. I have also pasted here some of the most common error codes that we have seen, like, for example, 5 to 3 when the message is too large. Some organizations have enabled larger message to be received, whereas other organizations do not agree with such messages. But if you look for the exact error code, you will see on the internet, and we have also pasted here a TechNet article, you will find exactly what the problem was and how to fix it. We also have here some common scenarios. I am not going to go through these. We have summed up some of the questions that can help you troubleshoot certain scenarios and how you should go around them. For example, when someone doesn't receive mail, is to exactly narrow down the problem like I was talking about earlier. But as I said, these are for you because you will receive the PowerPoint and the slides. And if you have any problems, you can definitely go to these. Let's see a little bit about the outbound mail flow now that we have seen a few troubleshooting steps.
Well, thank you, Diana. When you send mail outside your organization, Mostly it will not depend on your own settings, but here we will show you on up to which point you can address the settings and what can you influence to cover your part of the mail flow. So we get like this support scenarios where we are addressed that the message arrives, but it takes too long to reach its destinations. So in this case, we will go through a few troubleshooting steps. Usually we will ask the user to open the delivery report, ask for the certain timestamps addressed here. We will look into other details of the reports, like under which hops this email has passed. And the administrators have under the Office 365 portal possibility to get a message trace log, which I have prepared a demo. I will show you at part of this section. We will go through this demo and see how to read through this message trace and what details are relevant for my troubleshooting scenario. You can open delivery reports from your Outlook client. If you go to the information tab, you have a button here which gives you the relevant delivery report. And if you're using Outlook web app, you can go to this cogwheel, and under the options menu, you will have the same button to open this report, which you can provide to your administrator, or you can look into your own if you're a professional or a service provider. These delivery reports will be also provided as a report under the Exchange Administrative Console. You can open it, as I mentioned, from the portal or from the PowerShell session. Here you will have multiple filters. You will be able to select the users to which this email was addressed, or select the users who sent out this email. The results for each recipient will be with the same stamps addressed. Important here is the timestamp and the status. If the message was submitted, it means it reached the transport pipeline, and from here we can look into individual transport agents, how this mail was processed and what was done at each hop before it left your organization, or if it's stuck on the outbound and it didn't even leave your organization. This will show the second status, if the mail flow fails or if it's transferred. Very important thing is to keep in mind that Exchange Onine only keeps message tracking data for 90 days. So if you want to look at data which is older than 3 months, it will not be possible. If you want to have an archive to provide this type of information, it's possible to export these logs from the Exchange Admin Center or from PowerShell, and provide them also for a later use. Also, other details which we'll be looking here through will be, again, if the message was successfully submitted, does the timestamp match what you expected, and also very important, what type of recipient is it? Is it a user mailbox? Is it a hardware, a room mailbox? Is it within or outside your organization? What caused the delay? Is it an announced disruption which is announced in the portal? Very often you will see under the health conditions of Exchange Onine, the status changes to yellow. This means that we are aware of a situation which would cause you to delay this email. And it's important to tell the customer that we are aware and we're looking into. If it's not sent to a non-Office 365 recipient, we have to get all necessary details, as Diana showed us, the non-delivery report, the timestamps, and the hops which these emails are passing through. I see a lot of scenarios where customers using third-party spam filtering and routing emails through spam host. Here you have to check up with the smart host provider, which is mostly internet provider company or smart host or secure mail provider. And you will have to ask, okay, from my side everything is done perfectly. Can you provide me with further details which would help me to gain more analysis details? As you can see, this investigation can be a very complex process. And again, we've provided administrators with a message trace feature to get the additional detail. You will be able to address it from the admin center from Exchange Onine. And here is a special section which is called message tracing. This message tracing tool will help you to filter out emails. It will show you all emails which came from inbound or were sent to the outbound email. And here you will see the necessary details, if it was received, delivered, and the status conditions at which they stopped or successfully submitted at the last hop. Afterwards, if you come to the conclusion that all these troubleshooting steps don't lead to any resolution, you will be able to contact at no additional cost the Office 365 support, and you will want to provide them with all the information you gained so far, and might be helpful to obtain a screenshot or deliver the logs which you obtained to the specialist will take care of your request. Another part in this mail troubleshooting scenario will be the analysis of message headers. We'll show you how to obtain the full message header and look into it. But the most relevant details here, you will see many fields which are acronyms. You don't have to understand all these acronyms. But most important is spam confidence level here, mentioned with SCL. This spam confidence level will apply with the use of Exchange Onine protection, and all inbound messages will get a note. They are rated after a number of recipients, after domains, if this domain is whitelisted, blacklisted, what is contained in the email body, message size. Everything will be leading to an analysis of the spam confidence level, and afterwards it will be addressed with a note. Lower note, which will mean it's no spam. A higher note will make your server aware, and it will treat, after the certain note, it will treat the message accordingly. It will filter it at spam, which you can restore from the spam folder, or it will be also possible to reject email and not even land into your organization if you come to the conclusion that the spam confidence level is too high. So other things which will be considered are phishing confidence level, which will look into the content of the email and scan for certain phishing and scam techniques which are applied to this email. If you wish to obtain more assistance with this type of analysis, you can submit again a free of charge request to the Office 365 team, and here you will be obtaining a report, and in this report you will be able to read how all this informations were evaluated for a certain email. Again, here is another list of message header details. We decided to put all into the slide because you will be stumbling upon all these situations. What I encountered from this list is the sender block list. You will see it as a SKB. This SKB tells you if this sender is already marked as a block sender and they will not be able to address your recipient. After evaluating your own infrastructure, your own mail delivery system, and you come to the conclusion, okay, everything looks healthy on my side, you will have to look into the DSNs and NDRs delivered to the recipient, and from here you will be able to decide, okay, this is not my part, this is the part of the receiving side, and you will be able to address the according mail admin and tell him, okay, please help me look into this. I suspect that your receiving mail system doesn't let the mail go through. We've put together a lot of helpful resources. There is an automated Office 365 Mailflow troubleshooter and a Mailflow troubleshooting index, which will bring you through the evaluation of all known SMTP error messages or all known delivery status notification messages. And we will start from here our demo session, which will show you what we've discussed so far. You will, as you will see these demos, you will be already aware of what we are talking about. Diana, please let me know when my screen is loaded.
Yes, right now it's loading.
Perfect. So you will see here the Exchange Online Admin Center, right?
Exactly, we can see.
Perfect. And from the Exchange Admin Center, I will address the mail flow. And on the mail flow, we will have this gorgeous message tracing feature, which I personally enjoy. And here, for example, I would like to look in at the past 24 hours and see what is the delivery status of all my email here. And as a recipient, I will take the recipient used for this demonstration is the administrator account used for this demo tenant. I will add him here into the filter list. And I do not wish to filter out the senders. I want to see all emails addressed to my administrator here. Then I can start this search. And you will see that in the past days, only 2 messages got through my mailbox. One was addressed from outside my organization. You see it comes from my personal address from Microsoft.com. And if I open this report, it will tell me all relevant details. As you can see, this message was delivered successfully. It will be attached with a spam diagnosis. If it's the case, in this case, there is no spam diagnosis because this mail was not filtered as spam. And you will also see details about the recipient mail servers, message size ID, from which IP it was sent, and relevant details which can help you to simulate a healthy condition for your mail receiving system. Here I have another report which shows the same thing, and I would like also there is no spam diagnosis attached because it was not filtered as spam, and I would like to show you how to do the same thing with PowerShell. You will be able to pull these logs with PowerShell. Here I also established a session with Exchange Onine. As you can see, I can already pull out the information. This is my mailbox hosted in the cloud. And from here, I prepared a list for you, which will be provided together with this presentation. And here you will be able to set variables, how to get the date from which this period ends, how to get the dates from which this period starts, and then pipe multiple PowerShell commandlets together in order to obtain a list which will help you to analyze the situation. So we will look into this the certain detail. Here it will be obtaining the dates. If you use this variable, it will get the date which is set up under my time zone, and it will feed this variable. Here it will use the same variable as above, and it will send a time frame for additional 240 hours. And in the end, I have the chain of piped commandlets, which will, as you see, it will put out all the status of my messages. And here you will see, for example, mail which are simulated, send it from my admin account on Microsoft.com, where I intentionally misspelled my recipient address. The last U is missing. It has failed the delivery. And if I want now to see what's behind this failing scene, why did it fail? I can use the same commandlet. Here I don't need this grid output. I will just delete it for demonstration purposes. And here you will see the status, the failed status, additional information. Okay, but now I want to find out more. I want to see, okay, why did this message not go through? I've prepared another set of pipelines here. Okay. Here also I won't need this output grid, which I'm deleting for the demonstration purpose. And I will obtain more detailed output about my certain messages. And I will look into this one, which has the status failed. And here you will see this NDR, which the recipient will also obtain. And you can obtain the rejected reason. You will see here access denied, and it will tell you, okay, this recipient is not found. When you see a recipient not found, it's clearly that it's not part of your organization. You will have to contact the according email administrator, tell him, okay, seems like there is not a correct address behind. Please let me know if I did all steps correct so far, or provide me with a correct address. If it's the case, if not, the administrator will provide you with certain steps. So this would be the demonstration here from my side. Diana, would you like to address more details?
Maybe we can also see the message header.
Yes, exactly.
I know that we promised.
Yeah, we promised to address message headers, that's correct. We have a tool at Microsoft which is called Remote Connectivity Analyzer. You can address it with a short address, ak.ms/rca. On this RCA, you will have multiple tests which will help you to simulate the traffic to your on-premise server or the traffic to your Office 365 server. But what we want to show you here is the message analyzer, which is used to analyze headers. For example, I can go, if I go to Outlook, I will have the properties of an email, and I just copy all these details and paste them here into the header, and it will parse this log, and it will show me all the hops which went through to deliver my email. As you see, you can see here the send from address, the recipient address, and here is a list of all the hops which this email went through. What you see here are all Exchange Online protection servers. You can recognize them with the ending mail.protection.outlook.com. The others, which are not called protection, they are meant for redundancy purposes, because all emails are behind the scenes in Exchange Online, are in a database availability group, and all mail databases which are provided for Europe are redundant across Dublin and Amsterdam, which would mean in any scenario we are able to perform a data center failover, and your mail will be accordingly available under the 99.9 SLA promise and also a contract, which is other details which you can obtain here from this message log. You will be able to see also diagnostics, which we talked about, spam diagnostics, CFA tests, so the rates which were recorded after the spam diagnostic output, after this mail went through Exchange Online protection, it will be the grade which we talked about. Also, you will be able to see which were the last servers which processed these emails, and the timestamps which were set according to our servers. So if you have any questions, any details which are not mentioned here, another thing which comes to my eyes here, this is a thing that many companies avoid or are not aware about. This is important for outbound email. When your organization is sending email outside, it will have to prove that this is a real domain, it's a valid domain to send the emails. And here we provide, after the domain registration, we provide you with this SPF record, which you will have to add to your DNS provider, and it will help you to validate or emails sent outside your organization. Please do not forget this step, it's very important. It will help you to avoid many situations. Why did my email was marked as spam? If you set up an SPF records, mostly your emails won't be identified as spam. But here we have other mechanism as a domain key identifier, which is a new technology provided since 2015 with Exchange Online, and together with a domain mark system, it will help you again to prove the identity of your outbound domain and avoid your email marked as spam. It will be also DNS records, which you will have to write together with your DNS provider. These DNS records are provided after registering your domain. There's a full list established and provided to you with all needed DNS entries, which will help you to avoid spam situations. Okay, so again, if you have questions, please address them into the chat here. I will hand over to Diana with the next topics.
Yes, now that we have seen mail flow, let's see if we have any questions. If not, I'm going to load the presentation. Okay, can you please confirm that we see the presentation?
Yes, it's here.
Okay, perfect. So we have seen mail flow, and the second very important part of Exchange is the Exchange connectivity. And when I say Exchange connectivity, the first thing that pops into mind is the AUTODISCOVER service. Why? It's because it's very easy for the client application to configure itself using a minimal user input. What this means, most users clearly know their email address and their password, and all they need to do in order to connect to their client is to give in their email address and their password. That's it. AUTODISCOVER does the rest. It automatically connects to Exchange, and it configures Outlook or whatever profile or client that you are using. This works for client applications that are both inside and outside of the firewalls. It will also work in resource forests and in multiple forest scenarios. So it's not bound to a certain situation, let's say. Let's see more in depth how this works. It has three main phases. The first one is to define the candidate pool to see what URLs we have from which we can choose. Then it will try to connect to the AUTODISCOVER endpoints, and if not, it will try other alternatives. Let's get a little bit deeper inside. We have a user who wants to connect to using AUTODISCOVER. Before you can use AUTODISCOVER, you have to locate the right AUTODISCOVER server for the user. Luckily, AUTODISCOVER actually defines a limited number of places to look, and it has a certain list of URLs. It has its own mechanism in which it prioritizes the URLs and knows which one are better for you. After we have the list, it will try to connect to certain endpoints. So to the specific list that it found, it will first try to connect to the first one, the second one, and so on and so forth. It will try to go, and if it sees that it can connect to a certain URL, then it's successful and everything is good. Unfortunately, we also have the third case in which it tries all the endpoints, so all of our URLs on that list, but it sees that they only return an error. There are two more things that it tries. It will send an unauthenticated GET request, or it will query your DNS for an SRV record. If this fails, then you have to certainly check your environment and see what is happening there, because it means that you are having an AUTODISCOVER problem. There is also a more happy scenario in which the user actually didn't give his or her username and password correctly. I have seen this happen many times, or it wasn't in the correct format. So this can happen. But these are the three main phases which AUTODISCOVER goes through in order to try and connect the client to the Exchange servers. There are also some best practices for configuring our network. In Exchange Onine and in Office 365 in general, we have a certain IP range that we use, and this is also published on the internet. What happens is that this IP range actually changes quite often. We try to publish the IP ranges between 15 and 30 days, but sometimes it might happen that you won't catch these changes. Maybe you're on holiday and you didn't see that these changes are happening. This is why we recommend that when you configure your filtering, either firewall or certain devices, do not filter using the IP addresses that we have on our list. Instead, try to filter using the root domains, for example, star.outlook.com or star.sharepoint.com. And this way you'll make sure that even though the IP addresses change, you will never have a problem that the users cannot connect, because you already have in that firewall that certain domains are permitted. So this is one of the best practices that we have. Now let's go a little bit into the configuration issues and the problems that we actually see a lot for the Exchange connectivity in Exchange Onine. So we are talking only about the online scenarios, because if we go into hybrid or Exchange on-premises, then things go a little bit deeper. Actually, what we have seen in Exchange Onine is the fact that misconfiguration is one of our worst enemies. This means that most times there isn't a problem with the network or with the with the user. It's actually something that wasn't configured correctly. One of them is sometimes users try to access some features that weren't activated. For example, someone wants to connect to Outlook, but MAPI is not enabled for that user. And then we have to go in the Exchange Admin Center and check if that feature is activated or not. This can also happen for other mailbox features, maybe archive, so on and so forth. Maybe one user comes and says that he cannot send an email or he cannot receive an email. This is why you have to check that the primary email address is the correct one, and it's the one that the user should actually be using. Same goes for the mailbox policies. Sometimes we want to have some very strict mailbox policies, but these policies end up by prohibiting our user to use the services that he needs. Distribution group memberships, these should also be revised from time to time, the distribution group, the security groups, just to make sure that the correct users are in there. Last but not least, we have the Exchange control panel, which comes very in handy because the users can actually configure their profile, they can do certain changes and have certain scenarios. But sometimes it can also cause problems because we all know the users and they like to play around. And afterwards they come and they say, oh, I don't know why something isn't working. Well, they changed something in the Exchange control panel. So it's good to compare the settings that they have with one default user, for example, that you don't, that you know for sure that he hasn't changed anything in his settings. The network configuration, as I said, is very important. We have to make sure that the firewall is configured correctly, that you are using the root domains, not the IPs, and also when we have to check the DNS records and to make sure that we have a CNAME with autodiscover.outlook.com for each domain that we have. This is a little bit going into the hybrid deployment. We have put this in because we have seen that sometimes this happens. If you want to have a hybrid deployment, then you must use a certificate that you purchase from a trusted third-party certificate authority. It's very important. These are very important also, for example, when you have to migrate your mailboxes, you should also use such a certificate. We also pasted in here the TechNet article when you can see the certificate requirements, and also we have some recommendations on what providers to use. Last but not least, we have the client configuration. We have the firewall in general that can block certain connections to the internet, but we also have the local firewall. We have to make sure that this is configured correctly. Of the Internet Explorer proxy, we will see how to check these settings in order to make sure that no proxy is listed there that might prohibit our connection. And last but not least, we have to configure the zone configuration and to make sure that the Enable Protect mode is disabled. The connection got a little bit lost. Marius, can you confirm that you can hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Perfect, thanks. If you run into problems with the Internet Explorer troubleshooting, then you can reset Internet Explorer to its default settings, and very important is to disable add-ons. This can also come in handy, for example, in Outlook. If you see that you're having an Outlook connectivity problem, you can start Outlook using safe mode. And when you start Outlook in safe mode, this means that Outlook will start without all of the add-ons. And we have seen that the add-ons indeed are causing sometimes a little bit of problems. So what's very important to remember from the Exchange connectivity, a lot of misconfigurations, and AUTODISCOVER is our friend that helps us have everything a little bit more easier. Now let's go inside the demo, and I'm going to present my desktop so that I can actually show how to test some of the connections with AUTODISCOVER. Okay, can you see now?
Yes, we can see your desktop.
Okay, perfect. I know that Marius also went to the remote connectivity analyzer, but it's actually a tool that we use quite often when we have to do some troubleshooting, because it used to have only the Exchange server, but now it's extended to Skype for Business, Office 365, Message Analyzer, so it comes really in handy. Right now, I'm going to show you how to have an AUTODISCOVER test. So if we go to the Office 365 client and Outlook AutoDiscover, we just have to select this test. And then I have to give in the email address of the user that I am going to use for my tests. Okay. And the account, I'm going to use the same account because actually my user know the password. And this is the hard part to configure because you cannot see what you are writing. You should only check this if you are using Exchange 2003, but since we are using an Exchange account from Office 365, this is not a choice. And another hard part. Let's see if I got it right. It's verifying the authentication code. Once you have verified this authentication code, you don't have to do it each time, which is good. You have 30 minutes that it's going to last. And now I can go and perform my test. Normally, it shouldn't take long, about 10 seconds. Sometimes it can take a little bit longer, or actually it can be quicker. And I should see if my AutoDiscover is working or not. I can see certain steps. We are going to see them right now. Okay, and I have a successful connectivity test. I have received some warnings, but this is to be expected in Office 365. And I can actually go and see what the steps this tool has done. And it tells me it tried to connect to this URL, for example, and it didn't succeed. Then it tried the next one and the next one. And these, as I said, are to be expected. The important thing is that it was successful for Office 365. Another test that I wanted to show you for AutoDiscover is the test email auto configuration. So if you go in Outlook and you right-click your icon using Control, you will get this test email auto configuration. This is my own Outlook, and because I want to test my auto configuration for a different user, I can actually do it here. So I have in the background my Outlook configured with my Microsoft.com email address, but I am going to test for my test user. I only need to know the password for this test user. I have only use AutoDiscover checked. I unchecked the rest of them, and right now it's going to do my test. What it actually does, it recreates the test that AutoDiscover does, the connection actually, that AutoDiscover tries to establish when I am opening Outlook for the first time as this user. I have the results here, what it tried to do. What is very important when you are trying to troubleshoot, you can see here the log, and you can actually see what it tried to, what URLs we tried to contact. We see that we tried through SCP and then it failed. The important thing is that in the end it succeeded. As you can see, and we also talked about this a little bit earlier, it tried certain URLs, it failed, but in the end it found something and it succeeded. So it's a very good test to do. One actually two things. The internet options, we talked about this a little bit before. If you want to check that there are no proxy, you can check here that you don't have any proxy or your affected users. And also under trusted sites, you should check that you have SharePoint.com and all of the sites that we use to connect to Office 365, and that enable protected mode isn't enabled here, that it's disabled. And one last thing, we talked a lot at the beginning in Mailflow about the MX record. Sometimes it's very useful to check if the MX record is actually correct. There are also some tools on the internet to MX lookup and so on, but you can actually do it in command prompt. We can have an NS lookup. I say that I want to check my MX record, and right now I am going to give my domain. Okay. It's a little bit of a complicated domain. This is why I'm pasting it. And I can see that it actually points to Exchange Online protection. How can I see that? I have mail.protection.outlook.com. This means Exchange Outlook protection. So I know that for this domain, I am using Exchange Online protection to route all of the emails. Of course, right now I am using an Office 365 tenant, but if you are using a hybrid environment or you are doing a migration and you want to see where your MX record is pointing, this is the best way to check it and to check if all of your changes have replicated, if there is anything else that you need. Okay, if there are any questions, please feel free to ask them, or we can discuss them at the end of the session. If not, Marius has some Exchange Online features that are named very similar, but are actually a little bit different.
Yes, that's true. I've prepared a few more details. So please don't be shy, don't hesitate to address the questions. Meanwhile, I will share my own screen. Okay, at this point you should be able to see it.
Right now it's loading.
Okay. And now?
Okay, now we can see.
Perfect. So, I want to address here a few mailbox details which maybe don't have a special impact on your mail flow, but it always causes misunderstanding on what is the recipient or who exactly am I sending emails to and what happens with these emails, how can I restore them. So I will take my sample user, the administrator here. I will go into its properties, and here I have my mailbox features. What is relevant for me are these retention policies. Retention policies tell me what happens to this email. As an email administrator, I will be able to set a global policy for my organization, which will tell if this mailbox will be automatically archived or it will be automatically deleted after the time frame I set here. This policy can be addressed by the email administrator, or you can allow users to address it with Outlook, and they can set this policy for their certain folders, and it will apply only for the folders where the end user has set up this policy. Another important thing is this feature. It's called litigation hold. Currently it's disabled for my mailbox here, and it's the default status. But what happens if I enable it? I can tell this mailbox to be on hold and tell it for 365 days, and this email won't be able to be removed from Exchange Online, even if the license expires for this mailbox. It will not be able to be removed under any condition from the Exchange Online server. So now that my litigation hold is enabled, a company can use this feature to preserve mailboxes or individual items into an immutable state. All items which are sent or received onto this mailbox are preserved into the original format. And there's also a protection mechanism behind. If you try to edit or modify one of these emails, the original email will land into the folder for recoverable items, the previously known dumpster, and only the email administrator or the one who has access here will be able to restore this item. So you can also use PowerShell to view into this feature. I'll just clean up my screen and get the details for my admin mailbox. Here is relevant what happened to this hold feature. and I will filter only the values which have hold included. So here, after I enabled litigation hold and after I hit save here, the status will change. But I open this window to show you these other features like retention hold. If you enable this retention hold, it will not allow this retention policies which I've talked about at the beginning. If retention hold is enabled, you won't be able to address these retention policies to the company. This might be a compliance scenario where this should be allowed or should be not allowed to your company. Also, you can see this in-place hold, which is another feature I will show you now. What is in-place hold? It's a compliance feature which allows you to filter certain objects from your mailbox. So if you don't want to hold an entire mailbox and you want to hold only a type of objects, so to say, maybe calendar items or items sent by the finance department or items received from your manager, you will be able to set here the mailboxes which you want to put under this hold condition. I will take only my my demonstration mailbox because it will take longer to apply for multiple mailboxes. And here I can set up the criteria. I want only emails for the last month from March to April. And here I can specify, as mentioned, distribution lists or specific users. And here I will be able to select special type of documents. Maybe I don't want emails, I want only meetings. And I will be able to include them into this retention policy. And afterwards, I can decide if this content should be available indefinitely, or I can specify the days under which period these items will be preserved. After this status here will reach its end, you will see the status here. It's still in progress, which means it's not provisioned yet to this filter here, and you will have to wait until it's succeeded, and afterwards this in-place hold will be available, and the content which you filtered here, you will be able to export it. You can export it to a PSD file and obtain only this content which you just filtered with this search. Will be helpful for compliance scenarios or scenarios where a user claims he cannot find certain emails got lost and you don't know how to recover them. Go to this discovery search here and provide him with his needed emails. Also important, I want to show you here the quotas which are assigned for a certain Exchange Online mailbox. You will see here different values. These values are not dependent on the provided inbox quota. If the inbox quota is fully occupied, these quotas are fully independent. So here you see the recoverable items quota. This is a feature which comes into work when I enable a litigation hold. So after litigation hold is enabled, all deleted items or modified items are stored originally into this hidden folder, into the recoverable items folder, and will start populated this quota here. Also a different thing which does not come into question, which does not draw together with your inbox quota, is the archive quota. If I enable archive for a specific recipient, which I can show you here, it's also available under the quick actions menu here. If I go to my user, I will see in-place archive. This is again a different feature. It's the classic feature under users are used to store and archive their email. So if I enable this feature, what will happen into Outlook, the user will see a secondary mailbox which will get the same or a folder structure as his original mailbox, and he doesn't have to restart Outlook. It will be provisioned automatically to AUTODISCOVER, and from here user will be available. I can show you into Outlook web app. The user will be provided with a secondary folder. As you can see here, the in-place archive, and you can for example, you can drag a mail into this archive and it will be preserved here. Again, this quota is different from the inbox, and its standard comes with 100 gigabytes, but we don't limit you here. It's just quota which is a default assigned. If you have an enterprise plan, you have endless archive for any mailbox. So we don't want you to run multiple archives or mini inboxes to lose items which you cannot restore after a failure in a mail flow scenario. We want you to have a large mailbox where all your items are kept, and here this archive quota is endless. So if you reach 100 gigabytes, just contact the support and they will be enabling endless quota for this mailbox. Okay, so this would be all from my side. Please let us know about your questions, about your curiosity. What are maybe you have scenarios which we can comment about live in this session.
I see that we have a question. I shall read it. Is the archiving storage unlimited in all enterprise subscriptions? In Enterprise E1, you have a limit of 50 gigabytes, and in the rest, in E3, E4, and E5, there is no limit. The same 50 gigabytes goes for business essentials, business premium, and education. What is important, like Marius said, we have so when you run the command get mailbox, you will see that you indeed have a quota for the archive, and this might seem a little bit contrary because on our TechNet articles we say that you have no limit. The reason is you have a 100 gigabytes limit, and if you exceed it, then you will receive then you will receive more storage. But you have to contact support if you want to receive this additional storage. Okay. And is it additional storage or decrease the 50 gig? So just to make it sure, for the business, the education, and Enterprise E1, you have 50 gigabytes of archive. This doesn't have anything to do with the storage that you have for the mailbox. So this is separate storage for the mailbox that you receive. These are separate storages. Okay, you're welcome. I see that we don't have any other questions. In this case, we would like to thank you for participating in our webcast. You can also contact us. We have services offered for Azure, Dynamics CRM Online, Office 365, of course, and Windows 10 and EMS. I have pasted here the links. And if you have any other questions or need advice regarding your certain cases, have certain questions, please don't hesitate to ask us. You can just drop us an email at this email address. You will also see we will send you the presentation, and in the appendix I have filled in certain slides that will help you with the troubleshooting regarding the remote connectivity analyzer tool and one more tool that will certainly help you. That was all from our side. Again, thank you very much for participating, and have a nice afternoon.